Hey everybody, it's Dr. V. Thanks for being here on my channel. I'm back with your reading for Twin Flame, Divine Love, Soulmate, Soul-Based Connections, whatever label you choose. As though many of you know, I'm not a huge fan of labels. I think that labels are simply a way of describing something. It doesn't necessarily speak always to the nature of things. So this is your weekly love reading for your soul-based connections. I want to just start off by saying thank you so much for all of your love over the last couple of weeks with my birthday. I appreciate it. It was a wonderful time, a wonderful weekend with a lot of great friends and family and excitement. So also, if you want to book a private reading, you can do so by click the information below in the description box, and everything that you need is there. So I'm going to jump in and do this twin flame reading for this week. I did already start the video, and then I had a technical glitch, and so I had to start over, so that's why there's two cards. And I'm going to start off with the overall energy of the masculine, which is from the Gods and Titans book by Stacy DeMarco. And so we're just going to jump right in. Spirit, please use me as a clear channel for communication. May the messages that come through be in the highest good of all those concerned. Draw a sacred circle around this space, setting my ego to the outside. I call upon my guides, ancestors, higher wisdom, divine love, source energy, archangels to be with me, to be in this space at this time, and to guide the messages that come through, so that they're all in the highest good of those concerned. So let's just start. What is the energy that the masculine is bringing this week? So we've got the god Akat, or Akat, dedication, and Hermes. I always say it like the designer. It's Hermes, or if you're looking at the designer, it's Hermes. Oh, by the way, this is my new statue. I got this for my birthday. It's a goddess Bast who is presiding over our reading this week. So let's look at this, okay? Communication. Masculine is bringing in this energy of communication. This is somebody who wants, there's something that needs to be said. There's something that needs to be shared. This is, sometimes this Hermes can be a little bit mischievous in the way that he goes about doing things, but at the end of the day, this is a card of communication, physical communication, although it could also be spiritual communication. This is definitely an energy of a message that needs to come through in this physical reality. So there could really, a lot of masculines could be thinking about communicating with you in some way. Now this is not necessarily that I don't necessarily get like a direct communication, because this energy, Hermes was a god that was very cunning, kind of a trickster. This is somebody who would do things that again, there was that mischievousness about his energy. So I'm not necessarily feeling like if there's communication coming forward that it's going to be a direct conversation that's going to be like heartfelt and but it could be something that's kind of almost where you're like, I don't even know what this means, or like, this is weird, some kind of like out of nowhere kind of message that maybe is like, oh, I haven't heard from you in 6 months, and suddenly you're just sending me like this weird like joke or a meme or different kinds of message. Now this is also it could even be that the masculine is right now speaking, like trying to figure out the best way to communicate, the best way to come forward, and to deliver some kind of message to you. So just be prepared, really just be prepared if you're ready. If you want that communication, if you've been hoping for it, it feels like there's communication that can come through. Now, I have talked to a number of twin flame couples that have received communication from their counterpart in the last over the last few days, and I feel like there will be more energy that's going to be coming through. So just be prepared for that. Don't get your hopes up and don't have a whole lot of expectations around it, but just be prepared for that. And then we've got a cat or a cot. So this is an energy of dedication. This is an energy of somebody being in the space of really dedicating themselves to their pursuits, what they're doing. This is an energy of this card, literally when the book describes it, it talks about the contracts, like your soul contracts that you made, the contracts that you made with yourself, that you made with your counterpart, with the divine before you even entered this earth. It's saying this could be. So I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie Eat, Pray, Love, but Elizabeth Gilbert's character, played by Julia Roberts, was thinking about having kids, and she's like, and her sister-in-law says to her, having kids is like getting a tattoo on your face. It's like requires a lot of, you have to be completely dedicated to it. And this is saying like, this is time, it's time to examine the contracts that you've made, and how willing and how dedicated you are to them, as well as whether it's time to like make new contracts. So this is saying, what I get is that the masculine is really in a space of looking at the things that they have been dedicating themselves to, what they've been committed to, the path that they've chosen, and whether those paths are really on the same, on the length that they want to be on at this point. It's like maybe you made a contract to do X, Y, and Z, and now you're recognizing that it's not exactly what you want to do or where you want to be. And so this is a space of really being in self-examination and trying to figure out whether what they've done is the best choice, okay? It's like there's something that needs to be completed, or they need to dedicate themselves completely to something. And it's like they're in the space of making that decision. It's like they either need to, as I've said before, and you guys know I use the statement, they're in the space of really kind of being like, okay, it's time to either shit or get off the pot. I'm either dedicated to the path that I've chosen, whether it's a karmic partner, whether it's, a job or something. But what they're realizing is they can't continue to vacillate back and forth between what they have been doing and what they, not having been as dedicated as they want to be. So it's kind of like do or die mode is what I'm getting for them. That there's like this energy of recognizing that I can't continue to be in the middle space anymore. Like I have to make a decision. I'm either going to choose this twin flame connection, this spiritual connection that I feel so alive, or I'm going to choose something else. But either way, I feel like there's some choice that's being made right now. So I'm going to move these aside. And I'm going to look at, I've already shuffled these, and so I'm just going to pull the cards for the feminine, which is from the Goddess Oracle by Amy Sophia Marashinsky. And so the feminine is bringing in Minerva and Sheila Nagig. Minerva is about beliefs. Okay, so it's interesting because it's like you're both examining, I say you, but we're both examining our beliefs and like where we're at, what's going on. Minerva is a card of really examining, like, what is it that I think? What am I putting out in the world? What am I bringing to the world? Does it matter what other people think of me, or am I just putting too much value on it? So it's like literally this card is saying the feminine is in a space where it's time to examine your beliefs and change them if they're not nurturing you into the wholeness and to who you want to be. If you have old thoughts, like old thought patterns that are impacting and really flooding your life, it's time to examine that. That even goes for this twin flame connection. Now, I believe in the beauty of the twin flame and the soulmate and these soul-based connections. But if you have a belief system that says like it's only worth it to be on this path if we're going to be in community, if we're going to be in union, that's an old belief system that needs to be shaken, because that is going to keep you bound. And anything that keeps you stuck, anything that you don't feel, any area where you don't feel free is not, that's not of spirit. Spirit is a free energy. It's not being bound. It's not feeling stuck in something. So this is saying, look, do you think, are you worried too much about what other people think of you? Like literally, what are your thoughts and your beliefs? Are they nurturing your life? Are you growing in fullness? Are you seeing things expand? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling joyful? Are you feeling abundant? Are you feeling blessed? Are you feeling, and I'm not saying that doesn't come with challenges, okay? So you can be having the time of your life and things can be going great and there's still challenges and things that come up. But if your life is constantly feeling stressed and drudgery, and like even if this connection doesn't make you feel alive and feel good, then it's something to examine. Why are you so rigidly stuck to it, okay? And this is saying, Spirit is saying, like, you got to get some space and really examine your beliefs. Last week I took some time. I went up to this spiritual retreat place here close by where I live, and I spent about 2 hours just in silence, and really shedding old beliefs and examining my life and where things like that. Spirit saying, get quiet, get some alone time to figure out what it is that you're where you're at and where you want to be and how your beliefs are serving you. If they're not serving you and they're not taking you to that, it's time to examine whether you want to continue holding on to them. And it's okay to say, like, this belief doesn't serve me any longer and I'm going to move it forward. Doesn't mean anything bad to let something go that no longer serves, whatever that might be for you. So we've got the Sheila Nagig. And this is obviously a card of, if you see, she's giving birth in this card. And this is literally saying that this is an invitation to open. This is time to create new experiences, open up yourself to new people, places, things. It's like begin new projects, look at figure out a new path, and take some bold steps. This is saying, look, it's time to come out and play. Maybe you've been in your cave of healing and growing and so long. You've been in your hermit mode for a while. I know I was. I know I've definitely been in a space of being in a hermit mode and kind of taking care of me, focusing on some other things. And now it's time to come out and play. Now it's time to get out of the cave and come back to, quote unquote, the land of the living. That's what this card is saying. So feminines, if you've been in this space of where you felt like you were like constricted or kind of held back, or you were in retreat mode, it's time to open. Remember, and those of you who don't have children have not had this experience, but this is, if you've ever watched a birthing video or you understand about the way that the birthing process goes, it's like there's a ton of contractions before you actually start to give birth. It's like hours and hours and hours of contractions, and that's what's happening. It's like you went through this major contractive phase where things were happening, where there was a lot that was going on beneath the surface, and then now it's time to expand. Now it's time to let something new come forward that wants to be birthed in you and through you. So it's very exciting. It feels like both people in this connection are very much in a significant growth time. Things are shifting really rapidly, and it feels very positive. So I'm going to move this aside, and I'm going to look at, with the Numinous Tarot, I'm going to look at the connective energies, like what is connecting them right now, divine masculine and feminine. And if you were wondering what I was just doing, I was putting some incense on my altar in the cauldron. The red, if you can see it, is love, and the purple is compelling. And I chose those today specifically to create an atmosphere of love and drawing love into this space. So the connective energies between the masculine and feminine. Okay, so we've got the awakening in reverse. This is an energy of, this is the justice card in the traditional tarot. This is an energy of somebody not having, like, justice has not been served yet. There has not quite yet been some balance. So maybe somebody's feeling like, it's like somebody still hasn't been entirely honest with themselves, is what I'm getting. Okay, somebody still is not being entirely clear about things and hasn't really come full circle yet. But we have the Five of Bells in reverse. This is a card of conflict in the upright. It's a card of conflict, and this is a card of someone who's ready to fight back. So what this is saying to me is that if there has been injustice, if there has been something like that things are not clear yet, things have not been, where you've been hesitating, for instance. Maybe you've been hesitating because you're like, there's something that I want to do, or something that I need to, not entirely make a decision, or there's some truths that I don't want to face. It's like people are opening their eyes, okay? This is an energy of saying it's time for someone to open their eyes, and then they're going to fight back, taking back their power, whatever that looks like for you. I don't necessarily mean fight back in like a physical way or like, anything like that. I mean like really taking back your power, standing in your truth, really saying like, it's time to take my life into my own hands. It's like I've been in this space of being stuck and not wanting to see things, and not wanting to move forward, not wanting to do things, and not wanting to make that decision. Now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to take back my power and say like, look, if I've been in a situation where there's been unhealthy dynamics going on, like that shit's ending. I'm done with this. I'm going to take a stand for what's right. And it's leading to this Ace of Bells, which is a new beginning. This is like the truth of, like the bell of truth ringing out, okay? It's like things are becoming clear, things are becoming like knowledge, wisdom, like this aha moment of shit like downloading where it's boom, boom, boom. This is what it feels like is happening this week, is that people are really stepping into their power, understanding things, taking their power back and being like, you know what, I don't have to be in this situation. I don't have to tolerate this, whatever this might be. It could be, if this connection has been unhealthy, if it's not been like vibrant, if it hasn't felt joyful, it's like you could just take back your power at any time and say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. It feels like that's where people are headed this week, this aha moment, which is really beautiful in light of the energies that the masculine and feminine were bringing in through the earlier part of the reading. So what is the masculine contributing to the situation? So we've got an Ace of Vials, a Three of Tomes, and a Ten of Tomes in reverse. So a lot of material things right now. So the Ace of Vials is this new beginning in love. It's emotions, okay? It's like I almost get the sense that there may be some masculines that are going to have like this understanding of what this connection really was for them and what it, you know, remembering like the inspiration that came through it. It's a card of like peace and love, maybe self-expression. This is somebody who is really like feeling the love there. They're really feeling the love. And then the Three of Tomes is a card of somebody who's dedicated to their path. This is someone's like a student energy, apprentice, working hard. Okay. So it's also this energy of perhaps they've been really hard on themselves in the past, like judged themselves really harshly for their mistakes and the things that they've done, and now they're trying to get into a space of being more balanced again and rededicating themselves, studying things. Now this is saying in the material world, this Ten of Tomes, is that it's like they may feel like things are not like, this is in the upright, this is like a happy home, happy family, things like that. This is saying that they may feel like they may feel like things are challenging financially in the material world for them. It could be that they're you know, trying to get out of debt, trying to do some things. It's like feeling like there may be some things that they don't have a lot of control over, that there are some things that they don't have a lot of power, and they're trying to master that energy right now. They're trying to not be stuck in it, because they're feeling inspired. There may be some forces that are out of their control right now that are hindering them. It could be a job that doesn't pay as well as they like, or you know, they have to pay a shit ton of money in alimony or something like that. But there's definitely something that's happening that's kind of out of their control right now that is limiting their perspective and their ability to move. So what is the feminine bringing? The Wheel of Fortune in reverse, the Mystic of Candles in reverse, and the Nine of Candles. So the Wheel of Fortune in reverse is somebody who's really resisting letting a cycle come to an end. It's like the Wheel of Fortune, if it's in reverse, it's like the wheel is spun and it hasn't been in your favor, and then you're kind of resisting letting it go and trying to spin it again. So what this is saying to me with all of these cards together is that I feel like the feminine is coming to a space where it's like, okay, so I invested a lot in this connection, in this person, in this situation, and thus far it hasn't been exactly what I was hoping for. It feels like things are stuck, things are stagnant. It's like I feel frozen. I feel like something is holding me back from being able to move forward. It's like you may feel like these things are out of your control. Like I can't help how I feel. I can't help what, you know, and that's true. You can't help how you feel, but you can act how you can choose how you behave. So yes, you can feel all this love and dynamic energy and all of these things, but you don't have to, you don't have to stay stuck waiting for something to happen. It's saying, not only are we supposed to accept things when they do happen, we're supposed to accept things when they don't. And it's saying, look, if I'm here where I am, what can I do with what I have? What can I do in this space? What can I, how can I be patient in where I am and still figure out ways to move forward without feeling like I'm trapped, okay? And then we've got the Mystic of Candles in reverse. The Mystic of Candles, the candles are wands in this deck. So when we see that this Mystic of Candles, it's literally this energy. Excuse me. I feel like I need to take a drink. My throat is kind of dry. Probably from all that talking I did this weekend. So the Mystic of Candles is someone who is still unable to reflect on their experiences. Not really being able to admit that they've made mistakes, or that somebody it feels like there's a struggle. So a lot of the feminines, and this may not resonate for you, may feel like you've made some mistakes, or you've made some wrong choices, okay? But you're not ready to acknowledge that yet. You're not really ready to accept it. But what I'm getting from this is, like, it's really important to say, like, if you've been choosing, like, I'm gonna wait for my divine counterpart to come around, I'm gonna wait for my twin flame, you've been waiting for a really long time, and you're still waiting, you still haven't moved forward, your life still feels kind of stuck, the Spirit's like, well, it's time to reflect on maybe whether this choosing to sit and wait was a good choice, or whether it was something that you need to reflect on and do things different. And I get with this Nine of Candles, the Nine of Candles are passion. So it feels like for a lot of you, a lot of the feminines, that there is going to be a rebirth of passion. That this energy of having been stuck and having felt stagnant, and like I've been waiting and nothing is happening, and like maybe I made a mistake and maybe I need to do things differently. And when I say made a mistake, again, I'm not saying that choosing love is never a mistake, but you can still choose your divine counterpart. You can choose to be on this path and move forward with your life, you know, not sitting around waiting for them to come back. And you can go on and live your life. And if you're waiting, like, for instance, if you're like thinking about making a move, like I was, not me personally, but saying, like, if a person is sitting here thinking, like, I'm going to move, I'd like to move to, I live in New York and I want to move to LA, but my twin's here in New York, and like if I leave, then maybe I'll mess up this connection. So you're not following your passion and not pursuing your dreams because you're hoping for something. It's like, you don't put your life on hold. That's what I mean about making a mistake. If you've been waiting for someone to come around and they haven't yet, and you've been putting your life on hold, it's like Spirit is saying it's time to stop. It's time to start evaluating that choice and deciding whether it's time to move forward. Because this Nine of Candles card is about having experience. It's about having learned something from the experience. It's like not letting these lessons go to waste, but taking it and learning. And it's like there's definitely like energy of this journey has been up and down. It's been like ups and peaks and valleys. It's been quite a roller coaster, but it's saying, look, you're ready for to move forward and to take the lessons that you've learned and apply them to your life, and to move things into a different direction, to not feel like you're stuck anymore, that you've taken all this spiritual wisdom that you've gleaned from this journey and move things forward. So what is ahead? Got the Seven of Candles, the Dreamer of Candles in reverse, and the Mystic of Tomes. Very interesting, because we do have a lot of Wands energy. So the Seven of Candles is someone who has learned, who's grown, who has had some experience around things, and who, hold on, sorry. There you go. Sorry, my dog was about to jump, and I don't want her to jump because she's old, so I had to go and fix her, move her. So anyway, we've got the Seven of Candles, which is about success and victory. So what is ahead is success and victory. There will be some things that you're going to feel successful. You're going to feel like things are moving in a positive direction. Now, this is somebody who's saying, it's a caution saying, don't start something if you're not ready to finish it. Don't take on a bunch of projects and let yourself get overwhelmed because you just want that excitement that comes with when you start something new, and then it's like, oh, this is a lot of work, it's boring. So this is saying, like, choose something that you really love and dedicate yourself to it. Literally, this is a card of dedication. This is letting go of the having too many irons in the fire and moving to a space of dedication. That was what the masculine was bringing in. It feels like ahead there is going to be people in these connections that are going to make some commitments to something, and it's like commitment to something they love. It could be committing to this twin flame journey. It could be committing to a passionate purpose that you've been wanting to follow, like studying the tarot and learning how to do readings. It could be deciding that you want to become a yoga instructor. It could be deciding that you want to go back to school. Whatever it is, it's a card of really dedicating and really narrowing your focus instead of having all these irons in the fire and doing a bunch of different things, but really focusing and choosing a path that you're committed to. It's about not trying to figure out what to do next, and it's literally like creating following your dreams, committing to follow your dreams is what Spirit is saying. It's literally just saying committing to follow your dreams. So we have the Mystic of Tomes that is showing up with us here. The Mystic of Tomes is someone who is solid, grounded, impressive, just like where people are like, damn, this person like has their shit together, they've got their ducks in a row. This is somebody who understands the connection between everybody, like the web of life, right? They understand that everything is one, everything is connected. This is a person who is really responsible, who doesn't take advantage of things, who doesn't like do things just for reward or recognition. And someone who is really stepping into like a leadership role, very much a responsible, careful, deliberate, intentional kind of person. So it feels like people are really going to dedicate themselves to their path, and as they do that, it's going to really shift how things are taking place in their life right now, where they're going to rise into their like empress kind of energy, and become more the divine expression of who they are than they've been in the past. Really, really beautiful energies. So I'm going to move these aside, and we're going to look at what is blocking the connection right now. And this is the Les Vampires deck by Lucy Cavendish. So we're going to look at 2 blocks, and then I'll pull 2 cards for advice. So what are the blocks right now? So we've got the burnt by the sun. This is ambition, extension, reach. This is somebody who is reaching too hard. It's kind of a burnout card. Okay, so this is somebody like who could be focusing too hard, reaching too much, just doing too much is what I'm getting. It's just doing too much. Ambition is a good thing. It's a great thing, but if you're overly ambitious and you don't have any balance, it can burn you out, and it can be like an energy where it's like just investing way too much in the wrong things, overextending yourself, overreaching, and then just feeling like I just can't handle this anymore. So this is like it's just basically like what I'm getting from this is that somebody may be wanting something to come too easy. This could be people who just want to manifest. And I say this all the time, wanting to manifest the twin flame connection without being willing to do the work. So it's like I get people, and I've had this happen, where they'll get a reading and we'll be like, okay, so this is the advice from spirit and this is what to do. And then they don't really do it. They're like still staying stuck and not making the choice. And so this is like, this card is saying there are some things that you have to put in effort and you have to earn. It doesn't just come to you easily. And so a block is that maybe some people aren't willing to do the work, aren't willing to do the necessary steps. They have this great ambition. They have the idea like, I want to manifest the love of my life. I want to make $1 million, but they're not willing to do the work to do it. And this is saying, so that's blocking this, okay? This is like, there's a time to just, to reach for something, but it's saying don't, necessarily feel like just because you like, don't try and overwork yourself trying to earn something. I hope that is making sense. Like, it's literally saying like, don't feel like you have to, like, if you feel burned out or if you feel like you're putting in way too much effort for something that isn't coming to pass, it's like spirit saying, well, maybe it's not coming to pass because it's not supposed to right now. Maybe there are other things you're supposed to be looking at. So the other block, this is ancient, okay? This literally, the card says ancient, but what I get from this is like, part of what is happening right now is that there are ancient energies that need to be moved through. Whether, if your counterpart is in a karmic situation, whether that's a karmic partner or a job or anything like that, well, part of it is that it needs to be moved through, and that's part of the journey. Part of what we have to do is allow these energies to take place, to allow these things to happen, to allow the ancient energies to move through us. There's some shit that you're carrying, that you're dealing with right now, that is ancestral. It's coming from past lives. It's coming from, ancestral, the collective unconscious. It's literally like, there are some things that are like heritage issues that need to be worked out. This isn't necessarily that sometimes it's like, well, why did, what did I do to deserve this? Nothing. It's just that you're carrying some karmic debt that you have to work out from past lives. And that's part of what's blocking it. It's just saying, look, it's time to understand that there is some stuff that has to happen. This is also saying that there are family issues. This is like sometimes like if you have, for instance, people that had parents that were divorced and a messy divorce, a lot of times people will go into their own adult relationships carrying that energy with them about old family stuff that isn't theirs to carry, but they're carrying it because it's what that's what I'm looking for, because that's what they inherited, what they believed. Okay, so if we have to look at that, part of what's blocking this is family stuff, old family ties, and people need to work through that. So what is the advice from Spirit? We've got transgression and free will. Transgression is about mistakes that we've made. So what I'm getting from this is like, look, we all have made mistakes. If you're holding somebody accountable or yourself accountable for something that you've done in the past, it's like that is, you've got to move through that and let that go. But this is a card of integrity. This is a card of saying, look, if you've done anything that has been against your integrity, again, like I said, I think I mentioned this earlier, like if you're in a situation where your divine counterpart is in a karmic situation and that it's against your integrity to be in a third party situation, like it's against your integrity to be with somebody who is with somebody else or isn't being honest, or to collaborate and align with somebody who's living a dishonest life, if that's you, it's saying, if you've done that, it's saying, look, your soul will let you know. Spirit is saying, do not transgress against yourself and your own values or against what is in the divine highest divine good. Spirit's saying, look, we all make mistakes, we all fuck up, for sure. Everybody does, we're human, that's part of the journey. But if you feel like you've been out of integrity in certain situations, or you've allowed yourself to fall into a space of being out of integrity, Spirit's saying it's time to realign. It's time to get back in space, the space of being aligned with yourself. So we've got free will, which is a card of saying, like, look, the advice is like, let people have their own free will. You have your own free will, act on it. You're a sovereign being, you're independent, you have a free spirit. It's like, don't go against the wishes of another, okay? So this card is about transgression. This is a card about transgressing against another person. If you have done something in the past that has been out of integrity, out of alignment, and you feel like you maybe crossed boundaries with somebody, or you've done something that you shouldn't, it's totally fine to like take that back. Take back that energy of kind of trying to manipulate things and stand in the space of truth. Don't do anything against the free will of another person. Okay, don't collaborate with dishonesty, with lying. Don't take anybody's agency or their sovereignty. Okay, don't manipulate. That's what this card is saying. It's like whatever, and don't collaborate with it. I'm sorry, I just dropped something. Well, what we allow in others is a permission. Okay, so it's like if you're participating with somebody who's behaving in a way that is out of integrity and is out of alignment, you are transgressing against another, right? I hope this is making sense. And it's like, don't do that. Let other people have their sovereignty and their own free will, and you act in your sovereignty and your free will. Okay? Don't ever try to manipulate somebody's free will in any way, shape, or form. Like, I'll tell you something, like this happened yesterday. It's like a small case of it, but it was like, I asked my son to do something and he was like, I don't really want to. And I was like, oh, but it's my birthday. And I kind of did that thing where I was kind of I was teasing him, but I was doing that. And I was like, I'm just kidding, sweetheart. Like, I told you don't have to if you don't want to. Like, because I said something like, would you do this for me? And he kind of was like, eh. And I'm like, well, you don't have to if you don't want to, but it's my birthday. And, kind of did that thing. And it was playful. But at the core of it, what it was there was also this energy of, had I been serious with it, it would have been a manipulation. It would have been like, oh, but don't you love me? You're not going to do this for me. It's my birthday. And that's a manipulative type of energy. So even something like that, where it's like joking and it's playful, at the core, it can feel very manipulative. Like I'm saying on the one hand, you don't have to, but on the other hand, there's this implicit message. But if you really love me and it's my birthday, then you will. And that's manipulative. you know, and I literally was like, I'm just kidding, son. I was like, but I understand that that came off as really manipulative, and I wasn't trying. I mean, I was playful, but that's not at all what I was intending. When I said you don't have to do it, I literally meant you don't have to do it, and I mean you don't have to do it. So I hope that that's a good example. But this is saying if somebody else has manipulated your sovereignty and your free will, and it can be something like your counterpart being like, I do want to be with you, but I don't know what I want to do yet, and it's kind of hard. If any of that kind of stuff is not divine, Spirit saying like, stay out of any kind of manipulative energy or any kind of space where you might be transgressing or contributing to the transgression against another or their free will. So I'm going to move this aside. Okie dokie. And I felt led to do this earlier. I don't normally do this, but I did feel led to this, and so I'm going to do it. What is the shadow side of this connection right here? I'm using the Oracle of Visions by Cairo Marchetti. And I'm only going to pull one for this. Just what is the shadow side of this connection at the current time? Interesting. Do you see this like handheld mirror here? These cards are really interesting. If you look at the, if you can see, just kind of take it in and look at the depth of the art in here. There's a lot of messages. This is a card about the past, future, getting a fresh start. This is saying, the shadow side of this is saying that sometimes you've got to turn the page. Sometimes you have to shift and like let the past go and move into the future. This is, the shadow side is that there is something that is literally being frozen in time. It's like, there are times that you have to just turn the page and go forward into the present moment. Right now it feels like the energy that what Spirit is saying is that there's a lot of people that are stuck in the past. There's a lot of people that are sitting here thinking about their connection with their counterpart, and they're just thinking and focusing on the past. Or and then there's on the other hand people that are focusing on the future. What is in the future? What does this connection hold? What's going to happen next? And by doing that, you're being stuck in the future and not being in the present moment. This is saying, look, the past, what you learned in the past, what you gained in the past is great for reflection, for growth. It's an opportunity. Now, on the other hand, it's saying, but you got to live in the moment. Let go of the past, quit looking at it, learn from it, and turn the page. The past is the past. Whatever happened with your counterpart in the past is the past. Take the lessons, take the love, and then move forward to the present moment. If they're not in your life in this present moment, if you're not in communication, that's okay. Live in the present moment. What do you have now that's beautiful? How can you create a beautiful tomorrow by what you do today? What is available to you? However, don't spend all your time focusing on the future. Build your life today in this moment. The shadow side of this connection is that people are stuck either in the past or working too hard to try and create something or try to force something in the future. And that's not contributing to healing, to health, to growth. Literally saying, be in the present moment. What can you do now? What do you want to create now? What is your life now? So, beautiful message. I'm going to wrap up with some messages from your counterpart's higher self. Away, far away, love, okay, spirit messages from our counterpart's higher self, please. I like to do these in front of the camera. You guys always see, because you can see how the cards just fly out, like that one just did. And that one. So we'll take those 3 messages. The first message. Ooh, secret admirer. Someone has deeper feelings for you than they're letting on. So it's like, even if they're not saying that they have feelings for you, it's like they really do. They're just not like letting you see it right now. Whoa. Imagine all unwanted thoughts dissolving into light, creating room for new opportunities and possibilities for your life. This is beautiful. This is exactly what, confirming what the messages already came through. And then finally, trust. Transformation occurs through acceptance. Once you accept the current situation, it will automatically transform. I know that that's a hard thing for a lot of people to understand. This whole message to me is about, in order for this situation to transform and to grow, it's about accepting. It's about letting our agenda go. It's about being in a space of really just trusting that whatever the future holds is going to happen. Like whatever is meant to happen is meant to happen. As long as we're doing our part, as long as we're putting in the work that Spirit has guided us to put in, things are going to shift. They cannot stay the same. Okay? It's just trusting that even if we take our finger off the pulse of our connection and just dedicate ourselves to our own growth, that things will continue to happen. I love this. So I'm going to pull one final message from the universe, from the Ruby Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Spirit, one final message for the collective on this divine love journey. And we've got sacred convergence, and it's an 11. You guys know about those twin flame confirmation cards, right? I am not going to read this entire message because it's huge. These messages in this book literally are like 4 pages long. So it says, sacred convergence indicates a coming together of souls in alignment with the greater cause. This greater cause is both personal and impersonal. There is an aspect of joining together for common purpose, although that purpose may not be immediately obvious at a level of day-to-day consciousness. That belief in that common soul purpose may be to lift each other into greater love and self-belief, to shed fear and open the heart, filling each individual soul with more holy fire for its personal, passionate purpose. You'll have a sense when this process is happening. There will be a coming together of you with like-minded souls who hail from all walks of life. And yet together, through some invisible genius, you will help each other. So I'm going to kind of skip forward because it feels like this oracle comes, this is beautiful, and I got goosebumps everywhere. Truth chills. This oracle has come to you now because you are part of a greater sacred convergence happening. Perhaps you have already sensed its progression, or perhaps it will not be obvious to you, but the effect, whether obvious or subtle, will be important to your soul development and divine awakening. You are being asked to drop defenses and barriers towards groups of people that feel good for you. However, those that dampen your spirits or drag you down are to be dispensed with, no matter what games of blame or manipulation they may play to keep you coming back for more. No, that shall not do for your soul growth now. Just step away. Turn toward those connections that feel nourishing to your soul and learn to share yourself without fear. Just be. You do not have to force the planets to spin, nor the great cycles of the soul to happen. All that is required is that you show up for what is offered to you now. Do your part. Take your steps. Dance, sing, and be. And allow the sacred gifts of sacred connection to change your world. This oracle comes to you with a special message. Perhaps you have been thinking about shedding lower vibrational connections based in the ego world of power games, sabotage, manipulations, and fear. Perhaps you have already begun this process and even shed so many that you are fearing that you might have over-pruned to be left with nothing and no one. Do not fear, feisty angel of love. Your truth is prevailing. You cannot stay in a vibration of fear if you want to dwell in a vibration of love. Oh my God, this is beautiful. You can learn to sustain that vibration within you until it cannot be rattled by any crisis or demand. You are wise to place yourself in more nourishing connections. If you want a plant to grow, why not give it the best soil and conditions in which to do so? Certainly, the plant of love can and grow and will certainly the plant of love can and will grow in the most inhospitable conditions, but it can be rather more joyful to grow in gentler, more nourishing conditions if possible. So I really feel like this message, I don't know if it can be any more clear, that Spirit is just really saying it's time to let go of things that aren't serving, even if it's your twin flame connection, even if this twin flame connection right now is keeping you feeling down and feeling out. It's time to shed that and move into a more positive direction where things feel aligned and vibrational and feels good. So I hope that this reading helped. Please let me know if you have any questions. Take care. Bye-bye.